The world's foremost authority, Professor Irwin Corey, has just entered the auditorium and is making his way through the audience toward the stage.
A few moments of respite. Set aside as an interval, whilst you reevaluate that which recently has transpired. Let us pray. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know that protocol takes precedence over procedure. This pivot, or focal point, which can easily extol the virtues of a hypothetical alternative rather than to accept the drafts of reality, where we can at least ultimately give vent to our spleen. Oh, let the violence be to the country. Now, many of you people say, what is he talking about? I'm only repeating what Nixon once said. Ladies and gentlemen, we are a great nation. Our forefathers have fought and died and bled so that we can fight and die. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce your conferencier, who is nothing more than the liaison between the audience and the performer. When you make the announcement, Jacob, with clarity, dignity, and enthusiasm.
I'd be glad to.
Speak.
Ladies and gentlemen, viva...
No, that's too fast.
Oh.
Too fast.
All right.
Separate them. Give them a chance to identify themselves.
I'll try it again. Ladies and gentlemen,
That's good.
Viva Records takes great pleasure in presenting...
No! Not pleasure! Pride. Pride!
Viva Records takes great...
Recently picked as the comic kind. 1922. By the shopping news of Greenwich Village. Greenwich Village, that's a little area in New York where a man with moderate means can live like a queen. Very cold water. And the United States government
proudly present.
And the rocket's red glare.
And the rocket's red glare.
Bombs bursting in air.
Bombs bursting in air.
Bursting.
Hoisting.
This guy don't talk good English.
Ladies and gentlemen.
It's too fast. You gotta separate, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise you'll have another Holocaust like you had in New York during the blackout. Separate the ladies and gentlemen. It's ladies and gentlemen. Dash, dash. Then use your colon.
Professor
Irwin
Corey. Today we have with us the world's greatest living authority.
No. Always refer to me as the world's foremost authority. It has more euphonious sound and more cultural. Greatest is a cheap expression that you would give maybe to Danny Thomas or something like that.
Professor Irwin Corey, will you welcome him, please? The professor has been brought here to Los Angeles to discuss some of the big problems that are before us today that we see in the paper. One of them is the teenage problem. I guess we all know about that. Professor, just briefly, could you tell us, what are your thoughts on juvenile delinquency?
I'm glad you brought that up, due to the fact that although juvenile delinquency is merely an etymological term, and the grassroots or the basic stem, if you divide the expression, would find that Jew, which represents an ethnic group, and venile can be found in any ethnic group.
I see. Well, let's get down to specifics. Now, tonight in the paper, I'm sure you saw it, there was a lady of 78 years old walking through a park here in town, and she was set upon by a gang of juvenile delinquents of various ages, from 18 to 22. They hit this woman, they broke her jaw, and they took $22.50 away from her. There's the headline right there.
Well, this is nothing more than a hearsay remark based on facts which probably are based on rumor.
No, there were 14
this woman
reporters.
14 reporters, and none of them were hit, mind you. It was just this old lady. This old lady, her jawbone was broken, smashed to smithereens. Now, what was an old lady doing with children? This in itself shows that there was perversion on her part.
You misunderstand.
Well, I want to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. She was the one. Now, listen, this may not be the truth, but let's use this as a fact.
All right.
And then from there, it's easy to say that we can at least absolve those who didn't do such a good job on this old lady, since only one part of her jaw was broken, indicating that it was impossible. Well, it is possible. It is possible.
I see. Well, then, could you sum up briefly your thoughts on the juvenile delinquent problem? In about 10 seconds, could you sum it up?
Well, not in 10 seconds. I'd rather be brief. I would rather explain the fact that with the development of the various agencies which are now proclaiming themselves to be that particular beacon light where we can solve the problems created not only by our great mind and great leader, but even those leaders who haven't got great minds, who can at least... What was the question?
How does this apply to our teenage problem in Los Angeles?
No, that's how it applies.
We want to thank you for your views on juvenile delinquency and related teenage problems. Professor Corey will be back in just a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight you're present at the first demonstration anywhere of a fantastic new device called the History Phone. Now, it was invented by the same people who made the time machine possible, and this device enables us to talk to famous people of history. We have asked Dr. Irwin Corey, the world's foremost authority, to be the first person on Earth to demonstrate the use of this fantastic instrument. Now, I see the first call is coming in. We'll see who it is. Professor, it's Albert Einstein calling.
Albert, we've been looking for you. Where'd you put the formula? No, it's for the baby.
We have a history phone call from Ludwig van Beethoven.
How are you, Luddy? I said, how are you?
By the way, I'd like to mention here that the professor has no idea who's going to be on the phone. Professor, it's George Washington.
Oh, George? Where are you, Minneapolis? St. Paul? Phoenix? Where are you sleeping tonight? Okay, George. Stupid.
That's for you, Professor. It's William Shakespeare.
Hello, Bill. William, there's a lot of talk going around that Bacon wrote Shakespeare. Oh, Shakespeare ate bacon. What? Oh, it was allowed in those days. All the bacon was kosher. Good for you, Bill. Okay.
We have another call on the history phone for Professor Irwin Corey. This is from a long time back. Socrates.
Socrates, how are you? Listen, be careful of that last drink. He took it.
Another history phone call for Professor Irwin Corey. This one is from Robert Fulton.
Robert, how are you? What? It doesn't work? You've tried it 7 times? Well, why don't you just put it in the water and see how it'll go there? Okay, Rob.
Here's a history phone call for Irwin Corey from Christopher Columbus.
Hiya, Chris. I knew you'd make it. You had 4 ships? The Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria? What happened with the last one? Oh, it went off the edge. Try again. So long, Chris.
We have a history phone call from a famous artist, Professor. It's Vincent van Gogh.
Vincent! Vincent! Try the other ear. Good. Yeah, I spoke to Gauguin. Yeah, he's putting his name on your paintings. Ciao.
Since Professor Irwin Corey was one of the first ones who was ever associated with trips, we like to ask him a few questions about LSD and the psychedelic aura. Dr. Leary has told us that there is a religious experience to be gained through the use of psychedelic drugs. Have you found this?
This is what most people look for in the beginning. Rather than to accept the norm, we go out into oblivion from debris. Whereas in other relationships, we find ourselves procrastinating and holding on to our own. This is no fun. To get out into the world with it, that's what makes it even a little more appropriate for the interesting avenues that we might explore.
Yes. Well, to you, what constitutes a freak out? What is a freak out?
It's like a freak in. When you can freak in and out, this is what it is.
I see.
Most people just want to freak around. That's no good.
Okay.
But I'm telling you, not in the sense that I'm looking this as something abnormal.
Yes. What does the term "blow your mind" connote to you? Let me.
Well, if it's just your mind, this is a way of freaking out.
I think I read someplace that while under the influences of LSD, you found some political answers that have heretofore been unavailable to man. A lot of people knew that Professor Irwin Corey was going to be here tonight, and some people sent up some notes. And one woman here seems to be worried about civil defense, Professor. She says she'd like to have you give her the dimensions of a safe air raid shelter.
Oh, well, if the young lady is in earshot, the suggestion for an air raid shelter, I suggest that in order to get the area of your shelter, you multiply the height by the base. Now, if you're 4,000 feet down the ground, your shelter should be about 1 inch thick. But if you're just 1 inch in the ground, then it should be 4,000 feet thick.
In today's modern education, geometry is taught in kindergarten, history of the world is taught in the 1st grade, and French and Latin are introduced in grammar school. All of this has created a new need, and that is the school psychiatrist. Once a month, parents of problem students are invited to attend an evening session at the school with the foremost authority in the world, Professor Irwin Corey. Here's one of the parents, Professor, right over here.
Are you a parent, by the way?
That's right, yeah. By what manner of means do you come to the conclusion that you're an authority on anything, let alone children?
Well, in the first place, I don't think it's any of your business. That I am an authority is a foregone conclusion. And the fact that I have dealt with children was always in private. And whatever they might have said about me during the session is purely hearsay. You can never take a child's word for anything. Now, the fact that I am an authority, the fact that I have concluded my education in various schools of endeavor. I've studied at MIT, at PINP, and DDS. Now, MIT is, for those of you who do not know, is the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. PINP is Pomona Institute of Neurophysics, and DDS is Ding Dong School. where your kids, I'm sure, got their tertiary education.
We have a lady over here, one of the mothers.
I have a teenager who comes home every afternoon from school and is always primping in front of the mirror and spraying hair, spray on. What I'm trying to figure out is how do I get him back on the football field?
Well, this is not a question for levity nor frivolity. The fact that his hair is long indicates the masculinity of this man. Long hair by Samson indicated strength, virility, a man of great proportions. As soon as that Delilah pulled him in and shaved his hair, he became a weakling. So I say that strength lies in the man's hair. Don't ever cut the hair off his head or under his arms. Let that man be a man.
Professor, how can I get my teenage son to overcome his shyness?
Well, in the first place, to overcome shyness, I believe that shyness is a very, very beautiful attribute to a young man, especially if it's a girl. And with this in mind, it is better to be shy than to be dead. Now, what's his name again? Johnson is not shy. But we're all hoping that since he is not shy... I mean, when he saw that picture of himself, he says, "That's the ugliest thing I ever saw." Now, that happens to be the gospel truth.
We'd like you to comment on the current trend of the teenagers smoking banana peels. Could you comment on that?
We can at least seek refuge in the banana. Now, what is a banana? If you peel it, it becomes limp. It has no value.
I'd like to know if you have see any possibilities for any other fruits or vegetables being brought into the psychedelic play.
Well, when you say fruits, what do you mean?
I mean those things which aren't vegetables.
You mean, should these children go out with vegetables?
Do we have some more questions from the parents?
Doctor, I'm just 14 years old, and I've just recently learned about kissing. My question is kissing your date any different than kissing your father, and if so, how?
Well, it's better to kiss a date rather than eat it. Kissing is nothing more than the actual end. This is the greatest aspect, and the personal enjoyment is really achieved due to the fact that it tastes better. It tastes much better.
We have time for just one more question before we have our refreshments here at the meeting. You, sir.
Professor, my daughter is 17, very pretty, very popular, and comes from a very good family. She recently met a boy who's 19, very rich, has a nice car, and also comes from a very nice family. Where did we go wrong?
I think affluence should not be a deterrent to personal enjoyment if they can afford it. But I think if this does exist, we should change our mores.
Professor, statistics have proved that there are 19 girls for every one man in the city of Los Angeles. Now, what is the answer to a problem like this?
Well, this is not a problem anymore. Now, you take the Mormons. They believe 4 wives for each man.
Well, now, I know something about the Mormon religion, and they don't believe that at all.
Well, that's the trouble with the Mormons. What we should do is try to at least develop a religion where this will take place.
All right. Thank you very much. Professor Irwin Corey. Welcome to our discussion period. Tonight, our subject is the pill. And tonight, our discussion will be in the form of a debate between Dr. Philip Borden of the Planned Population League and Professor Irwin Corey, the world's foremost authority. First, let's welcome Dr. Philip Borden of the Planned Population League.
It is resolved that the birth control pill will have a far-reaching effect on future generations. If the pill can diffuse the population explosion, it will go far toward eliminating hunger, want, and ignorance. Thank you.
And now we'll have the opening statement of Professor Irwin Corey.
I had no idea, friend, ladies and gentlemen, that the topic of our discussion should have had any subject. Actually, what we have to discuss is something that will infuriate all of us, rather than to put us in a serene
Yes, but
temper.
we're following here.
He lied. He lied.
Now, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, since the topic has been picked out by my adversary, I will use him as an opponent rather than as an ally in this discussion. I will not only disprove, but I will show that this man is a lackey.
I beg your pardon. You have called me a liar, and I would like you to know that more than 5 million women can't be wrong about the acceptability of the pills.
Well, I just heard that. I heard that.
Well, you were supposed to hear it, Professor. That's the idea of a debate. It's an open forum.
Well, I never referred to him as a fabricator. I never spoke to his face saying that he didn't know what he was talking about or the basis of his premise was illegal. Now, I'm telling him that right to his face. Where's his face?
Right over there. His face is over there.
We have gathered basically an assumption that the pill is a thing that causes the birthright to be eliminated without conception. How can you do that? Well, you don't eat the pill.
Could you explain to us, since you are an expert, exactly what is the function? How does it affect the non-fertility of the woman involved?
It does not. It does not affect the non-fertility. A woman who cannot bear children is a person that just doesn't. Nothing happens. That's what the thing is. Now, this woman who had an overdeveloped won't, and her husband who had an underdeveloped will. That's what it was. The pill had nothing to do with it. It was that won't and will not come together in this proof positive.
The man just told you a moment ago that there were 19 girls to every boy.
19 girls to every boy.
That's
well,
right.
This is nothing more than a statistic. That's all it is. It's just statistics.
I have every confidence that you haven't the vaguest idea what you're talking about.
Well, that's beside the point. That what I have to know or what I'm saying is unimportant. It is the fact that what the people can get out of the instrumentation, and therefore giving this more or less a leeway. Get in behind it. That's what I'm saying.
Doctor, a 10-second summation, please.
A pill a day keeps the gynecologist away.
Thank you very much. And now, Professor Corey, would you like to give your closing summation? 10 seconds.
Well, I believe for every tree there are birds. Because only in America have we got the American Medical Association. In Brazil, they got no American Medical Association.
What do they? What do they?
You get sick in Brazil, that's it. Forget it. But in America, with the American Medical Association in America, with the Hippocratical oath, you get sick in America, the doctor first finds out your bank balance and gives you a disease consummate to what you can afford. And if you ain't got no disease, they operate.
And now we have members of the press here to ask questions of Professor Corey, since he was instrumental in the development of the pill as we know it.
Professor, I heard everything you say, and I got a peculiar problem you might be able to help me with. We've been taking these pills, we got some. And this morning, my wife got up, she had a headache. And she took 2 of those pills instead of the aspirin by mistake. What do you suggest we do?
Well, taking a pill like that can at least show some signs of attrition. Now, many of you people ask, what are attrition? It's not what are attrition, it's what am attrition.
I don't think I quite understand, Professor Corey. What do you really think of the birth control pills?
I have never been saying that I thought of the birth control pills. All I merely stated was the fact that these are foregone conclusions. We have to at least alleviate the sufferings of mankind rather than sustain that particular orbitation which they cannot afford. That's all I'm saying. We must love, because without love, although we do say that love is thin and wears away, but hate remains. Hate endures. And without hate, revenge would mean nothing.
In other words, you're saying then that you can get... In other words, you're saying then you get more with a kind word.
Yes, you can get more with a kind word and a gun than with just a kind word.
Any more questions from the press?
Can you suggest any books on sex education for children?
Oh, yes, yes. There's the sex urge from 6 to 10. Then there's the sex urge from 10 to midnight. Very good books.
Professor.
We have a question, yes.
Professor, do you, since you don't advocate the pill, do you believe in sex before marriage?
Not if it delays the ceremony. Any other stupid questions?
Another stupid question. Basically, what would you term sex to be? What
Well,
is
I
sex?
wouldn't term it to be, but I think that sex is wonderful. It's worth 10 points if you play Scrabble. Well, now let's figure. S is 1, E is 1, and X is 8. And if you get it in the triple box, it could be very devastating for your partner. You can get the triple box in there.
That concludes our discussion on the pill and sexual variants thereof. We'd like to continue our discussion of the teenage world with Professor Irwin Corey. I understand you are going to be forming a group soon, and you're going to be calling the group The Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Now, what kind of songs will you be recording with this group?
Sea songs.
Sea songs.
Sea songs, like the song, the theme song from the motion picture Titanic.
How does that go?
Nearer, my God, to thee. Blub. Blub, blub. Blub. Now there is moral.
Yes.
When you're drowning, don't sing, but go into a lifeboat. Keep your mouth shut.
Well, thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions on popular music or allied fields? Here's a man with a question on popular music.
You know, as I was growing up, the groups were 2, 3, 4 in number at best, right? Now they're getting bigger and bigger. What's the future of this business in that sense? Do you see the groups getting even more huge as population goes up?
Yes, I think trios are getting larger. I think that one of the great things that the musicians, Local 802, or various other branches of the American Federation of Musicians are doing something in order to give these derelicts at least a chance to express their feelings in the form of hate, as I once expressed it.
This isn't you.
That's all right.
Yeah, good. Anybody else have any questions about... Yes, here's a lady with a question about popular music.
I bought my son a guitar. Now, what's the quickest way to the road to fame in the record business? Do you know?
Yes, there is a quick road notoriety and fame and various other aims that the objectives that are set forth by the musical instruments is by practice. Not that I say that you must go home and twang your instrument and pluck it and do things with it, but you must at least find a certain scale upon which you can attribute your desires.
You're talking, but it didn't answer my question. How does he become famous?
He doesn't become famous. Your boy is doomed. His name shall be nameless.
Amigo, it doesn't seem quite fair of you to castigate her boy.
I didn't touch him.
Thank you. Now, as a service to radio stations, Professor Irwin Corey's do-it-yourself radio kit. And now, Irwin Corey and his instant weather forecast.
The precipitation in Cambodia proves definitely that there is a relationship between the condensation which takes place not only in Laos but in Tanganyika. And this in itself will at least provide enough of the monsoons which are not only necessary for the development of our particular forces, but will give us at least credulence.
And now an instant time check. Professor Irwin Corey, what time is it?
The time is based on the meridian past the Greenwich Village, where we find that the hypotenuse based on this particular relationship shows us longitude and latitudes 3 and 4 at the equinoctial nocks.
But what time is it?
Time is of the essence. As I told you before, there is no time. Time is something that you do.
And now we have from Professor Irwin Corey an all-purpose sports bulletin.
Here we are. We find that Sandy Koufax, one of the great left-hand pitchers, has struck out more men in the second inning with a man on third than any other left-hand baseball player in the history of baseball. We also find that Ted Kluszewski's home run in the third World Series of the fourth game has sent over 200,000 cigarettes to the Children's Hospital because of that great...
Here's a sports question for you, Professor. Will Willie Mays ever break Babe Ruth's famous home run record?
I think this is the most controversial question ever brought up. The fact that Willie Mays happens to be of a different ethnic group compared to Babe Ruth, who was an orphan, born out of Babe Ruth, who had skinny legs and a fat belly, not only hated Thai cobs.
Who in your consideration was the greatest football coach who ever lived?
Marty Melcher.
Marty Melcher. Doris Day's husband.
No. Morris Day's husband.
Thank you very much. In your considered opinion, Professor, who is the greatest basketball player who ever lived?
Greatest basketball player who ever lived was one of the greatest basketball players that ever lived.
Could we have his name, please?
We're not allowed to divulge his name because then other people will use him on their team.
Who, in your considered opinion, is the greatest hockey player that ever lived?
And this man will at least be in the Hall of Fame, whether it be football, baseball, hockey, basketball, or any other sport of endeavor. Willard Thorpe.
Willard Thorpe. We've never heard of him. Whose team did he play on?
He played on no team. He was an independent.
What would you say, Professor, would be the best way to speed up the game of baseball?
Make it quicker.